We move on to Micah, who is between Kwame and Paul. She finds Kwame calming and he affirms her emotions, while Paul is kind of slowly creeping in on her from nowhere, and she likes that too. She's never given the nice guy a chance, and she proclaims that she's going to give the nice guy a chance now. Next up is Brett and Tiffany, and they have a date, and it turns out they are matching. They're both wearing teal. Tiffany's wearing a teal dress and Brett is wearing a teal t-shirt. So Brett and Tiffany are both hard workers. They're both go-getters at the top of their game, and I think they would make an amazing power couple. Brett says he has a good feeling about the two of them. Later on in the girls' house, Micah overhears Amber talking about Paul and she feels away. So much so that the first thing she brings up on their next date is Amber. She asks him how he feels about Amber. He answers like a true gentleman with all positive things and then changes the topic immediately. Chelsea's talking to one of the girls back at the women's quarters, the ladies' quarters, whatever, and she says that Kwame talks to her head, her heart, and her vagina, and that every time they talk, things keep getting better. I haven't seen this chemistry between the two of them yet in this episode, but honestly, I think Micah is a better match for Kwame. Chelsea is hinting, not so subtly, that she wants Kwame to propose to her. Kwame and Micah have a date, and he opens up to her about having a very strong connection with someone else. And this to me felt like he was trying to make Micah jealous or push her to validate him more. And Micah's confused, as am I, because things have been going so well between Kwame and Micah and all their dates. So for him to just drop in that there's another very, very strong connection was jarring. So she's confused about how he has a strong connection that's escalating so fast with this other person. And I think in this moment, Micah started having doubts about Kwame. She said that she could see a future with him, and Kwame says that he wants to propose, and Micah's jaw drops. So did mine, because Kwame, why did you even bring up the other girl? Why did you even talk about having a strong connection to someone else, and then you talk about wanting to propose to this person now? It was just a lot. Micah says that she has a slow burn with someone else, and she wants to make sure that she's fully into Kwame before committing to anything. I think Kwame just ruined the whole date by bringing up somebody else, and I think this made Micah doubt their connection. Next up, Brett and Tiffany have a date, and Tiffany can't wait to hug Brett. Brett drops a bomb about the death of his eldest brother. He really opened up to Tiffany about his experience, and that the experience made him aware of his own mortality, and he fears having an amazing relationship that could end in disaster because his eldest brother died just before he got married. So instead of them having a wedding for him, they had a funeral for him. Amber and Paul have a date. Paul asks Amber if she would cheat, and somehow her answer was a red flag to him. Her answer was that she would like to say that she wouldn't cheat, but she's never been in the position, and she understands that when people cheat, there is always an underlying reason, and she has been extremely unhappy in a relationship before, and if that relationship hadn't ended, it could have potentially ended in her cheating. But somehow this ends up being a red flag for Brett. But she clarifies what she meant, which is that she hasn't cheated, and she now says that she wouldn't cheat. So anyway, the date ends on a good note. Next, Paul and Micah have another date. After Paul and Kwame have a conversation about Micah, and Paul feels pressured to make a move between Micah and Amber. The minute he heard that Kwame feels so strongly about Micah, he got up and ran to the booth to have a date with her. It was so funny. Micah doesn't trust the feelings between herself and Paul. She doesn't feel like Paul is fully into her, and she also doesn't feel that she's fully into Paul. And I think Micah is competing with Amber. Paul promises to end things with Amber, although he seems reluctant. Brett and Tiffany have a date, and Brett has prepared a gift box for Tiffany. Inside it is I don't know if I'll call it a prototype for his very first shoe he designed way before he knew what he was doing with his life. And to him, this shoe serves as a reminder to follow his heart and what he loves. So Brett opens up about difficulty with the word love, and he says he feels they are the perfect match. Whole time he's talking to himself because she's asleep on the couch, and he couldn't believe it. At the end of this date, he goes back to the men's quarters and he says he's done. I can just imagine pouring my heart out to someone, and at the end of it, I'm like, hello, hey, and silence, absolute silence. He was heartbroken. And that's how episode 1 ended. Brett completely heartbroken, and Tiffany fast asleep on the couch. Thank you for listening to this episode. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like,